Man, Steve Harvey really out here crying about loyalty, talking slick on the Pivot podcast like Shannon Sharpe betrayed him just because he let Cat Williams speak his truth. Bruh, let's keep it real. Cat cooked Steve for 90 million people. 90 million. That's not just an interview. That's a cultural earthquake. And now Steve wanna flipping it like, nah, Shan is the problem. You can't let guests light me up and not expect to get lit up. Boy, stop. Shannon didn't dish you. The internet did. Cat just gave people the spark and the audience ran with it. Here's the truth. Cat's interview became the most watched sit-down in YouTube history. The receipts he pulled, they went viral because folks believed him. You could do 100 interviews trying to clap back, but you'll never outdo 90 million ears and eyes. That clip lives forever. So the real question ain't, is Shannon disloyal? The real question is, does Steve Harvey think Shannon Sharpe owes him protection? Or is this just bruised ego dressed up as friendship? See the way Steve telling it, Shannon broke some code. Like, if we friends, you supposed to shut down any guest that come on your show and start flaming me. But let's keep it a buck. Were Steve and Shannon even real friends like that? Look, there's two types of friendships in this game. Industry friends and real life friends. Industry friends dap each other up at award shows, maybe do a podcast together, exchange numbers they never use. That's it. Real friends, that's somebody you grew up with, somebody who got dirt on you, somebody you check in with off camera. So here's the problem. Steve talking like Shannon owed him real friend loyalty, when in reality, they probably just industry cool. Y'all wasn't grilling ribs together on Sunday. Stop it. Shannon's job is to let guests speak. That's why his podcast blew up. He shut his mouth and let Cat go in. If he had cut Cat off to protect Steve's brand, the culture would have roasted him instead. So when Steve says you can't let folks light me up on your platform, what he really means is, don't let anybody touch my image. But that ain't Shannon's job. Shannon owes loyalty to his show, his audience, and the truth that keeps people watching, not to some industry friend who slid through once.
You can't have a podcast, let somebody come on your show and talk about your friends.
I agree.
Okay, you got a podcast. Y'all got a guest on here. And he starts slamming Fred.
This whole beef really comes down to two worlds colliding. On one side, you got Shannon Sharpe, a podcast dude. His whole style is simple. Sit back, sip the yak, let guests run their mouth. No filter, no interruptions, just raw talk. That's why his channel blew up. Then on the other side, you got Steve Harvey, old school radio, FCC rules, commercials every 10 minutes, clean jokes for aunties driving to work. Steve even bragged, I got 9 million listeners in 112 markets. Cool flex, uncle. But one Cat Williams rant did 90 million by itself. That's the clash right there. Authenticity versus polish. Shannon's platform thrives off uncut stories, even if it gets messy. Steve's world is about protecting the brand, keeping it family friendly, staying out of trouble. But here's the kicker. Podcast culture don't play by those rules. There's no FCC breathing down your neck, no corporate filter. If you try to water it down, you lose.
You can't have a podcast, let somebody come on your show and talk about your friends.
I agree.
Okay, you got a podcast. Y'all got a guest on here. And he starts slamming Fred.
And Shannon figured that out. Steve, he's still trying to apply 1998 rules in the 2025 game. Let's be real. This whole storm exists because of Cat Williams. Shannon didn't even throw the shots. He just handed Cat the mic. And Cat ain't hold back. He went nuclear. He accused Steve of jacking Mark Curry's sitcom, stealing material, lying about being homeless, hating on Bernie Mac, failing in Hollywood. Bruh, it was a laundry list. And here's the dangerous part. A lot of that sounded believable. Why? Because Cat came with receipts energy. The man wasn't just ranting. You could pull up old interviews, old clips, even Mark Curry himself backing parts of it up. People started Googling, fact-checking, and realizing Cat wasn't just talking crazy. So now Steve's in an impossible spot. Even if he does 100 sit-downs denying it all, he'll never beat that 90 million views stamp. That interview's locked in as the most watched YouTube interview of all time. That means to the culture, Kat's version of the story is the official version. And that's the part Steve really can't forgive. It ain't just about loyalty or Shannon letting him get cooked. It's that Kat carved his name into history at Steve's expense. Once the internet sees you as a snake, a thief, or a liar, good luck trying to PR your way out of that.
Then you asked it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing.
See, Cat Williams ain't pulling accusations out of thin air. He had backup. Into Mark Curry. Mark straight up says Steve Harvey stole his Halloween material. Word for word. Whole routine. He told the story himself. He's watching TV, gets a call. Yo, Steve's doing your bit right now. And sure enough, Steve's on stage running Curry's jokes like they his. That's foul. And it don't stop there. Look at the sitcoms. Mark had Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Then boom, Steve drops the Steve Harvey Show. Same principal character, same suit, same clean-cut high-top fade. Bruh, that ain't inspiration. That's duplication. This is why Kat's interview hit so hard. Folks could literally pull side-by-side clips, see the similarities, and say, damn, Kat wasn't lying. When the internet can verify your dirt in 2 clicks, your credibility takes a nosedive. So now when Steve screams about protecting his brand, it sounds shaky. Protect it from what, bruh? The truth? Because the culture already decided. If Mark Curry himself said you ran off with his stuff, then Cat Williams just amplified it to the world. That's why Steve's demand for Shannon to shut down the convo feels weak. It's not about loyalty. It's about keeping people from connecting the dots. Steve Harvey on the pivot was flexing heavy. I'm in 112 markets, 9 million listeners, FCC rules, #1 adult contemporary show. Bro, 112 markets don't mean nothing on YouTube. The internet don't care about radio trophies. Meanwhile, Shannon Sharpe just sat back, poured Cat Williams a drink and let him talk. Boom, 90 million views. That's not a stat. That's a cultural knockout. See, this is the clash. Old guard versus new era. Steve's world is polished, scripted, protected. Shannon's world, raw, uncut, no FCC breathing down your neck. Bruh, if podcasting had FCC rules, half of y'all favorites would have been canceled by episode 3. Steve kept preaching, protect your brand. But in 2025, your brand ain't what your PR team writes. It's what the people clip, repost, and meme. And once a moment catches fire, no manager, no radio exec, no lawyer can put that flame out. That's why Steve's so pressed. In his world, you control the narrative. In Shannon's world, the audience controls it. Kat said it, Shannon didn't cut him off, and the culture stamped it. Period. So Steve can brag 9 million listeners all day. But Shannon gave Kat a platform that did 10 times that in one sit down. That's the new era. Radio numbers just can't keep up with viral chaos. Now here's where Steve really got exposed. His contradictions. 1 minute on Earn Your Leisure, he's in full hood mode. I'll slap your perm off. I still got hands. I'll knock you out slow. Bruh, you 68 years old talking about throwing hands like it's 1985. Relax. Then fast forward to the Pivot podcast. All of a sudden it's, I'd apologize to Kat. I just ask him what's wrong. Man, that's a whole 180. From catch these hands to let's talk it out. What that sound like? PR cleanup mode. He realized he couldn't beat Kat's 90 million moment, so now it's, I was just joking. I regret saying that. But here's the thing. The internet don't forget. We still remember you talking tough, threatening to rock a man's perm off. You can't spin that back into some peaceful grandpa energy. So when Steve tries to play both sides, tough guy 1 week, kumbaya the next, it just makes him look shaky. Bruh, pick a lane. Either you're ready to fight or you're ready to forgive. You can't be swinging and hugging in the same sentence.
And I probably, see, first of all, when I said that I was on stage at Earn Your Leisure, I was really just joking. I slap you, perm, all this. I was just in front of a whole lot of people. I was really just joking. I don't really, if I had a chance to talk to Cat about anything, I would just ask him what's wrong. Just what's wrong. Let's go to that. Listen to me, man. Just because a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true. That just don't mean it's true, man. And I probably shouldn't have said anything. That's a regret I have. I really shouldn't have said nothing. Cause we not in the same league, dog. We shooting at two different baskets. I shouldn't even have said nothing. And so really, man, I think I would apologize to him if he took offense to what I said. I was joking, but I would apologize to him. And like I said, if I had a chance to sit down with him, I would just say, hey, man, what's wrong? But you got to look at the whole tone of the interview. If the whole tone of the interview is what everybody else ain't, what everybody else ain't got, what everybody else doing, I think that's kind of like hate and jealousy. And hate and jealousy is a form of grief. You're grieving because obviously all them people you talking about have something you either want or are something that you ain't. And you're grieving. And the funeral becomes the podcast. So now let me roast all of these people.
It's the so-called loyalty code. Should Shannon have shut Cat down mid-rant? Steve thinks yes. He's like, if that's your friend, you protect him. You don't let nobody light him up on your show. Cool story, but here's the reality. Shannon and Steve ain't childhood buddies. They not swapping barbecue plates on Sundays. They're industry cool. And with industry friends, the rules are different. You don't owe them silence. You don't owe them censorship. At best, you owe them a heads up. Yo, Cat said this, the episode's dropping. That's it. So when Steve frames it like Shannon should have played defense for him, nah, bruh. That ain't Shannon's job. His loyalty is to the culture, his platform, and the audience that gave him that 90 million win. And let's keep it a buck. If Shannon had cut Cat off, the internet would have roasted him alive. Oh, you protecting Steve? You scared of the truth? The backlash would have been worse. So this ain't about loyalty. It's about ego. Steve wants special treatment. He wants Shannon to muzzle Cat for his sake. But here's the question nobody's asking. If it was Joe Rogan or any other big host, would Steve be demanding the same shutdown? Or is it just easier to press Shannon because he's black and accessible? At the end of the day, this ain't even about Shannon Sharpe. It's about Steve Harvey's legacy. Think about it. Steve's whole career, he's been the polished dude. Family Feud, Radio King, movies, books, motivational speeches, Mr. Potato Head suits and clean lineups, right? He built an image of success, respectability, made it out the struggle. Then Cat Williams sat down, told his version, and boom, 90 million people stamped Steve as a snake, a thief, a fraud. That's permanent. No matter how many times Steve goes on podcasts talking about FCC rules or protect your brand, that clip lives forever. So this ain't about Shannon being disloyal. This is about Steve being salty that Shannon's platform carried the nuke that blew a hole in his reputation. Shannon didn't aim it, but he held the launch pad. And that's why Steve can forgive Cat eventually, but he still side-eyes Shannon. Because in his mind, Cat was just being Cat. But Shannon, he was supposed to protect him. He was supposed to stop the culture from hearing it. Spoiler alert, bruh. You can't stop the internet. So yeah, this ain't loyalty versus betrayal. This is legacy versus reality. And reality don't care how many suits you got in your closet. So here's what it comes down to. This ain't really Steve versus Shannon. This is old rules versus new rules. Steve Harvey still moving like the brand gotta be polished, censored, protected at all costs. Shannon Sharpe, he figured out that in this new game, authenticity beats polish every single time. Think about it. Steve bragged about 9 million radio listeners, but Cat Williams walked in the Shannon studio said what he had to say, and 90 million people tuned in. One moment flipped the scale of power. That's not loyalty. That's leverage. And here's the truth Steve don't want to face. If your legacy can get bruised by a rant, maybe your legacy wasn't built on solid ground. Loyalty can't save you from receipts. Shannon could have shut Cat down, cut the whole segment, and folks would have still dug up Curry's accusations, Bernie Mac stories, the Hollywood flop talk. The internet gonna find it either way. So when Steve says, you can't let guests light me up and expect not to get lit up, what he really means is, don't let my dirt trend. But that's not Shannon's responsibility. That's Steve's. You can't muzzle the culture. You can't erase what people already believe. And the lesson for everybody watching, don't rely on industry friends to protect you. They not your family. They not your shield. They running their own show. Loyalty in this business don't mean censorship. Loyalty means you stand on your truth and you let your work speak louder than the rumors. At the end of the day, this ain't loyalty versus betrayal. It's legacy versus reality. And reality don't care about radio numbers, clean suits, or how many markets you in. The internet stamps you one way, and that stamp don't fade. So let me throw it to y'all. Should Shannon Sharpe have stepped in and shut Cat down out of respect? Or was Steve Harvey just hiding behind the word loyalty because his ego couldn't handle that 90 million hit? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this one gonna split the room. And if you still here rocking with me, hit the video that just popped up on your screen right now. That one's gonna have you thinking even harder. I'll see you on the next one. Panda out.